Oh, today's a very exciting day. We're going to be pulling the engines out of one of my favorite cars. And no, it's not my drift car. It's my Volvo 740 Turbo. I recently found a really cool engine, a 2.5 liter stroker race engine out in Hollywood, California from one of my friends in the film industry. And the previous owner of this 2.3 liter build wants it back. So we're going to get prepared to pull this engine out. The 2.5 liter I sent down to Connecticut to John Paul down at Carl Competition Engines. We're going to be putting on a more modern ECU, more modern turbo, fueling setup, and we're going to have the whole thing gone through and regasketed, putting in new bearings, and make sure it's ready for the increased power load it's about to handle. So let me show you about what we're planning to do with this engine. Well, here it is, my Volvo 740 Turbo wagon, and under this very clear coat damaged hood, we've got this kind of neglected 2.3 liter build. Let's see if we can get a little bit more light in there. It is a well-built head with a pretty crazy cam in there. Stock bottom end 13 millimeter rods with squirters. This is a late model, so it's got the 13 mil rods instead of the original 8 millimeter rods, which came in my 1988 motor. And if you notice, it's not really that stock. I've got some crazy stuff bolted onto the side of it. First over here, we have a Nathan and Washington intake plenum. Very nice piece. I think this is one of the most proud things I have on this car, aside from maybe the wheels. This intake plenum is one of the greatest bumps in power I've had, other than the fact I run this 19T at 26 PSI. Down below, you can see there's like this little manual boost controller. The thing's like just all the way squeezed in, and she makes all the horsepowers. And over here, this isn't the stock location for the turbo. What did I do? Well, I sourced a brand new in box. You can barely see it down under there. A brand new in box RSI top mount tubular manifold, twin scroll. And now the surface rust has come from years of sitting. It's sat for 2.5 years. And unfortunately, these Chinese oil feed lines rust. They said they were stainless steel, but you know, that's New England for you. You are strut chassis brace up top. Very tiny little battery. We deleted the ABS. We're going to be redoing the whole brake system on this car specifically. Back there, we're deleting the brake booster, the brake master. Everything is getting tucked inside the car. Wiring harness is getting completely changed to run inside the fender wells. And, well, the radiator and intercooler. Huh. So I put my gardening shears. That's cool. We're not going to talk about that. I had to cut some silicone hose at some point. That is my transmission cooler. Transmission cooler is going, because that's going to a manual swap. Intercooler is getting out of there. Chinese. We're going with a nicer car that I haven't decided on yet. But this is getting moved up to here. And this is getting moved up to here. So if we look at the engine like this will be right here. And this will be right here. So it's going to give me this entire space to play with. And you're going to be seeing some pretty things I'm doing to the front of the engine. Also, this whole thing is disappearing because I'll no longer have a mass airflow sensor or air mass meters, what they call them on these cars. I won't be having any of that. I'll just be having a filter directly on my turbo. And hopefully, it's going to be a lot bigger turbo. Now, my suspension is already, you know, pretty low all the way around. These are just the stock, well, not stock for this car, but they're stock Volvo wheels. They're Bertoni Multi-X wheels that I had done a custom paint job on. And put some Toyo Proxies on there. My car is extremely low. I'm not sure how well we can get under there and see just how low she's sitting. But you can see my fuel lines are just about to drag the ground, so it's time to... Who am I kidding? I'm not raising the car. I'm putting an angle kit on this car. So we see how the wheels are kind of turned out a little bit. I got a tiny bit of camber thanks to these couple hanky camber plates, but that's not enough for me. I'm putting on an angle kit that'll widen the track width from about right there out 60 millimeters, so about to right there. So this will have a lot more angle and be able to parallel park like a breeze. Coming inside the car, absolute mess. I started to unbolt the seats, which now the seats are getting trucked out of here, and we're putting in some period correct OMP race seats, some Saybelt gold harnesses, redoing the steering wheel, just sticking with the Volvo R Sport factory steering wheel, and we're going to do a little bit of a tidy up job in there. And last but not least, who doesn't love a little junk in the trunk? We've got to mount up and build some lines and build some crazy stuff for this ATL fuel cell. which makes my entire car currently smell like race gas because these are unconnected hose fittings. And just got that billet knob in there. It is a baffled fuel cell. So this is going to be riding back here right behind me. So we got to build some safety compartments for that and make sure this thing is up to DOT standards. Well, that's pretty much it, folks. That's the main details of this build that I'll be undergoing over the next couple of days, weeks, months, year, probably more than a year, to be honest with you. And all the work that goes into pulling the engine out, prepping it for a base shave, shaving it, painting it, putting a new motor in there, and hopefully it drives. So this started out as like a manual swap / engine swap, and next thing I know, I'm shoving the brakes inside the car, putting in a crazy ECU, and going way over my head. I've never built a car like this before. I'm really excited to share this with you, and I'm really excited to see how this turns out over the next decade.